Hello, welcome everyone. This is a what is it? Episode 9 or 10? I don't know. I'm gonna stop counting.
This is our newest installment
of Sports First, Everything Second podcast. Today's exclusive NFL, but we will be talking about what happened last night with the NBA. My name's Elliot. I have Andrew, Nick, and Zach with me. And if you look at our setup, we are upping our game a little bit more each time. So we'll just get right into it. What did you miss yesterday? Our warm-up segment that we always like to talk about here. So, the first game that NBA games we'll get right into. So, the first game, the Grizzlies lost to the Pacers 126-114. A thing that concerned me that was negative about the game was Ja Morant fell into a cameraman, and he did leave the game, but he did come back. No injuries were found. But now Colin Cowherd has talked about this before, how the NHL, they have a whole glass around the rink.
Yeah.
The NFL, they have a wide gap between the fans and the players. Still not as great as hockey, but it's kind of hard to interact with the fans a little bit during the game, unless you're Dwayne Haskins. And then the baseball, you got the
netting everywhere
around now. So do you think the NBA should, because it does give you great shots with a cameraman sitting right there, but do you think that they're too close to the game? Even the fans, too. We've seen fan altercations. We all watched the finals together, and Kyle Lowry got into a little shoving match with one of the Warriors owners, right? Or he was
something
part of
like
the team
that,
or something like that. Do you think that the NBA should change where they sit, or is it just like we're just reacting to what happened last night?
I think that it's a dangerous situation because we've seen stuff like that happen before, even with players not really getting too close, but falling onto them, damaged equipment and stuff like that. So if you look at it from both ends, not just the end of the player, if you're a cameraman and you're sitting there and you have a $1,000 camera in your hand, if Joel Embiid, his big body, comes flying at you, lands right on your camera, that's $1,000. Yeah, 0-point bomb falls on you. But if that situation arises where you're defenseless, you're not as big as these guys, you're not going to be able to get out of the way, especially if you're looking at technology. I think there should be at least 10 feet between the boundaries of the court and the back behind each rim, and then give 5 feet other than the benches behind that, just so you have a set area, because basketball is not a game where, like baseball, you need to worry about stuff flying or foul balls or broken bats.
Where in also hockey, you have protection
from those pucks that
projectiles
at you,
flying around.
Yeah, not even that. It's just also protection, shoulder pads, you have the helmet. It still hurts, but it's still much more than what the NBA has, running the actual people, running the chairs, cameras,
full speed.
A 200-plus pound player running into you is very highly in that basketball.
I mean,
sport.
If I was one of those fans, I wouldn't mind Joel Embiid just coming to pop it right next to me.
Yeah, but you're a Sixers fan.
If it's Karl Anthony Towns landing on you,
the guy who bitched him.
Either way, I'm gonna be like, hey.
Alright, so when you come out of it with a broken clavicle, we'll talk about it.
Anyways, but the positive side of the game is I feel like we talk about either the Pacers or Heat and their team scoring, having 6 players 10+. I think T.J. Warren was their leading scorer with 21 points. Who is the better team, the Pacers or the Heat?
I think the Heat are. I think they're a great young team. They've been showing it for the beginning of the season. And then you have Jimmy Butler. He's
doing his thing.
He's doing his thing. He's not necessarily carrying a team, but you have a veteran in there that can show you, number one, to give you buckets, because that's what they've been doing consistently. There's players that have before and plenty games that had 10+ points, and it all comes around either being with a great player just straight in the NBA or
I think the difference in between both those teams is one has a definite all-star in Jimmy Butler and the other is getting one back in Victor Oladipo. That's the only thing I think that separates this team. Both their coaches can do great things without stars, and they're only 2 games separated from each other. And I know you're probably going to touch upon that. The Heat are the 3rd seed, the Pacers are the 6th seed, and there's not much separation between the two. But that's the only difference I see. They both play great ball. Nate McMillan and Eric Spoelstra are great coaches, and without stars, Jimmy Butler can go and score 10 points and have a triple-double, and they still win by 20. It is what it is at that point. But I think both those teams are very great without their all-stars, but the only difference is that the Heat have Jimmy Butler, the Pacers don't have Victor Oladipo.
I think that when you say who's the better team record-wise, the Heat really jumps out at you.
Mm-hmm.
But performance-wise is where I think, like, that's what the Pacers kind of like are the unsung hero.
You've been advocating for Victor Oladipo's return for a while now.
I think once Victor Oladipo comes back, they get their leader, which is also a locker room leader, and they get their floor general. They get that number one scoring option, and they could really run the floor on either end with the best of them. They're not really a number one on offense or a number one on defense, but they are definitely a top 10 on either end. They're very well coached, like you mentioned, and this team knows who they got lined up next to them. Unlike the Heat, where the Heat is a relatively new to each other team, young guys.
Well, I mean, they brought in Brogdon and T.J. Warren. You know, of course, they kept like Sabonis,
but their core is the same. And then plus, once they get back Depot, that's the team that made the playoff run for the most part.
Yeah.
Not person for person, but core wise, the same thing. Add another good role player, but
Jeremy Lamb's also out for a while too for the Pacers.
Yeah, but
that one hurts a bit. But
having chemistry is in the NBA one of the most important things. So for me, Pacers, like you said, I advocate for them, especially with Depot coming back.
I think it's the Heat, but the Pacers, they play great ball without Depot or with Depot, so they're close. It's a close argument. I think it's a good argument. Every day we talk about what happened yesterday. Either the Pacers or Heat, 6 to 8 players score plus 10 points. They were both very well coached. But speaking of well coached teams, the Nets barely beat the Cavs 108 to 106. Irving again didn't play. We've talked about this prior to starting. I think they're a better team without Kyrie, and it's shown that Spencer Dinwiddie is stepping up, scoring 20, 30, 20 again. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like they're a better team. And then, of course, Kevin Love didn't really play. And
I think the Cavs are really tank mode. They need another young piece. They're not really in the position to make playoff moves yet. They don't have the talent or the cap space to really go and do anything. So I think dumping contracts this offseason if you can. Moving some of those older guys out. Yeah. Rebuild, don't try to retool.
We've talked
about like a good amount of teams that would definitely take Love
We've talked about this before.
That's definitely something that they got to look at.
I love Laura Thompson.
So who in this room has Andre Drummond in the fantasy team?
I got Andre Drummond on the fantasy team.
So the Pistons beat the Magic 103 to 88. He didn't score that well, and he only grabbed 14 rebounds, or 14 to 16 rebounds, not the 20 that he normally averages. He's been slowing down a bit. Do you think it's just because Griffin's coming back, or do you just think that he's slowing down?
For me, I try to obviously keep up with his games. I'm not a Pistons fan, but I like to keep up with his games just because he is on my team, and I do enjoy fantasy basketball. But guys like that going in, that's the most physical style of basketball is that rebounder. And I think anybody that's ever played the sport knows that that's one of the most mentally demanding aspects of the game, because you got to realize that every time you're going off a rebound, you're getting your body hit. You're gonna take bumps. You're gonna take lumps. You're gonna get elbows. You might even get kicked here and there. But for a guy like him who's consistently been in the paint, dominating the rebounds for his time in the league, games like this are gonna happen where you grab 14 rebounds, which is above the league average for centers, and it's still looked at as, he could have grabbed more, or Drummond should have grabbed more. But Blake Griffin coming back is a huge help for him, because that's another guy that can grab rebounds, not necessarily.
Definitely takes the load off.
Yeah, not necessarily that he can't, but.
Which I also gotta,
On the offensive end, Blake Griffin is surely a better option than Drummond.
He can shoot threes more consistent and shoot the.
Which helps if he's at the floor.
Yeah, but I don't know. We were watching the Pistons and the Hornets game, the beginning of the week, first week of the season, and whenever Andre Drummond got the ball, it seemed like he scored. And of course, it is the Hornets, not the best team, but of course they're competing this year.
Long-armed, physical man on the team.
I just think that Drummond, if given the ball, he can score. But again, you can't give it to him.
Yeah, he's going to use his size and his strength easily.
Yeah, he's playing 36 minutes a game, it seems like, so you can't really give the ball to him.
On a Magic team without Vucevic.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So, all right. So I'd talk about the game of the night, in my opinion. Either that or the Celtics one. The Raptors beat the Sixers 101 to 96, and Nick, you can take it away. Zach, you can get the Celtics one after.
The Raptors, like I said in past episodes, that they're a very good team without Kawhi. They have Siakam, Van Vliet, they have players that can make plays, and they also have a great coaching staff, great organization behind them. And this loss didn't kill me.
I would be worried if
you
I
definitely felt some type of way, though.
I did, because when your team loses, obviously, but this didn't hurt me as much knowing that we competed with one of the better teams.
Yeah.
What really hurt me, and obviously,
I would like to say that first take Stephen A said it perfectly this morning.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, you could say it.
Gosh.
It was a struggle to watch.
No points. He went 0 for 11 for the whole thing. 0 from 4 for 3. 0 from 3 from free throw.
That's where it hurts, man.
13
I
rebounds.
mean, you can kind of understand the free throws. You can kind of justify that.
Yeah,
and you can kind of justify the 3-pointers. But if you take away those 4 3-pointer shots, that's, 7?
7 shots?
7 shots that aren't threes or free throws, and you still gotta hit those. Like, of course, Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka are decent defenders, but you are supposed to be the best center in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I kind of just want to say something. It's a little not off topic, but it correlates with Celtics, for example.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum. Well, he went 1 for however
Like
many
16.
against the Mavs.
Yeah, but
And
that locker
then-
room's different, though.
No, but
Yeah.
real quick,
Yep.
he comes against the Clippers with 2 of the best guards,
Two-way players.
the
in the league.
defenders, 2-way players, and drops 30.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to have those off nights.
Mhm.
It just sucks that he couldn't score once,
I think,
which is a big shocker.
I think we blow it out of proportion because if you look at the standings, the Raptors and Sixers are fighting for the same seeding 4 through 1.
Yeah.
And I think that because last year Embiid literally walked off the court in tears, which is understandable. We've
Emotional
all done that
player.
before. Emotional, he's one of the best centers in the game and should be the best center in the Eastern Conference. And I think that Stephen A said it best this morning. He should have came out with a little bit more fire, and especially that suspension earlier in the season should get him more riled up.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you said, it is what it is. He's gonna have his off nights, but 0 points.
Yeah, you
is
do expect
big
him.
tough because Tatum again. We go back to the Tatum argument. He's not. You can argue that Kemba's the best player on that team, right? Because he's an all-star. He was a starter last year in the all-star game. Of course, it wasn't Charlotte, so that's a little, biased because of the voting. But Embiid's I think the best player on the Sixers, and you could probably argue against Simmons's or not. But if your best player scores 0 points and you still compete, should be a good shape. But this loss still worries me that Embiid didn't score a single point against one of the better teams in the East.
Yeah. So the way I look at this is when you're a center, you should be able to do a little bit of everything. So when we talk about the best centers in the game right now, we mention him, Gobert, and Towns, and Drummond, kind of.
Yeah, Drummond, I guess you could say.
So in Drummond, we have a rebounder, and that's why he's in the conversation. In Gobert, we have a defender.
Vucevic when healthy.
And Gobert, we have a defender.
Mm-hmm.
In Cat, we have a prolific scorer.
Yeah.
And then when we mention Embiid, he encapsulates all those things.
Yes.
And when you watch his game, he really does a little bit of each.
Mm-hmm.
But in games where he's held scoreless, and he grabbed, I don't know exactly, the 13 boards that he had.
That's not bad.
That's still production
Yeah,
from
13 boards, 2 assists.
that's still production from your center. And when you ask for him to do so much on a nightly basis, to the point where when he comes out and does nothing, everybody loses their mind. It's one game. I don't think you get that upset, like Elliot said, because you contended with a top 5 team in the East that
sure.
is coming off a championship, regardless of if they have their star or not.
And you're like a game and a half back
But-
anyway, so it's not like a.
That's big.
You gotta take it with a grain of salt. Realize that next game he's capable of dropping 40 or he's capable of dropping nothing.
Which we have seen now. Now we could say that his minimum 0 and his max is 40.
Like
50. Yeah.
So you got to be ready for that, and whoever they play next, be on the watch because he's going to be coming on a tear.
Also, do I want to say too is I'm liking how Josh Richardson's playing.
It could
He's
be
a good role player.
It could be a reality check for him, saying that he could be traded at the deadline. I don't think he wants to leave that locker room.
No.
And Tobias Harris, we all know that his contract's on the bigger side,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they got him instead of Butler.
Yeah.
But he's not a type of guy that he needs to score. He kind of is a Swiss Army knife. He can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I think Josh Richardson realizing that when he doesn't step up, it's kind of a big deal.
I just want to say when we were playing against the Heat, he had 32 points, went 11 for 15 for the field goals, 6 for 7 3-point.
He did miss
4 for 5 for the free throws.
He did miss the 3 free throws late in the game because he got fouled on a 3-point shot. Missed all 3 of them, and I've never seen Drake more animated, other than Kevin Durant got hurt. And he made it in like a good way, though. He was kind of trying to calm down the crowd. But, like, he was excited, and he was up out of his seat, which we've seen over and over
And
again.
then last night, he had 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
Could have done a little bit more better shooting. He went 9 for 19 field goals.
I don't think
3-point and 4 for 5 free throws.
I don't think you guys should be comfortable with a role player taking near 20 shots.
Well, he's a starter. He's your starting shooting guard.
But there's role players in each starting lineup. Danny Green, his role, hit threes. That's the Lakers.
I just feel like
His role?
Josh Richardson thinks that he's like. I'm not gonna say what he thinks. I think when
Do
I
you
watch
think he's
him,
a little hot-headed?
he seems that he's better than just shooting threes. He can dribble the ball. He can get to the hoop. But his role on the team should be shooting, and that's up to Brett Brown.
If
not
he,
That's what I'm saying. If you're Brett Brown, you got to.
you know my opinion on Brett Brown. Now
what
you
I'm
watched
saying
it.
is that obviously, if you see a player that's driving in the hoop when they miss every single layup, that's obviously not their cup of tea.
Yeah.
If they're making more of their shots than they are layups,
Mhm.
if they're making mid ranges more than they're making threes,
Mhm.
that's either you gotta think about that either yourself as a player, and for the organization, or your coach needs to do something about that. But
you know my opinion on Brett Brown.
yeah, I know you know my opinion on him. But honestly, he's been. I had no complaints. He's been playing really well, so hopefully he can keep this up. And he kind of picked up, not really, but he's been picking up a little bit more of the slack. He hasn't had, he's kind of inconsistent.
So we're gonna go into the next game. We did talk about them when we were talking about the Pacers. Their counterpart, I should say, the Heat beat the Hornets 117-100. Heat had 5 players over 10 points. 2 players in those 5 players having 21 points. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. This was just an easy game on the schedule, I think. Nothing shocks me at this point in the season to where we see the Heat have 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 players having plus 10 points.
Because it's a good matchup for them.
You've been saying that too. That probably every single time we've been on here that they have at least 2 or 3, 4
It could
players.
be Monday night games. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Zach, you want to elaborate on how the Heat are playing extremely well team ball, or do you just think that we've already covered it when we were talking about the Pacers?
we pretty much covered it. It's just the Heat is good all around. They got multiple players that show that their capabilities. They're just showing that hey, we're here to ball.
Mhm.
Take it or leave it. We're second now, second in the East, tied with the Celtics and the Raptors.
Mhm.
So it's a 3-way tie. They're showing that they deserve this playoff spot. They're
They're a real team.
yeah.
they're
They're showing this could be our year.
Like, hey, take us serious.
They went
Yeah.
a little bit more, a couple years after LeBron got traded. They really haven't.
They regressed a little bit.
Yeah, they haven't been the team that they were.
They've been
I
they've been
think
sleeping.
they're
Now
so
all of a sudden
They
something
went through
will
that
come up.
Hassan Whiteside saga for a bit when he was
Yeah.
really good, and then they stopped playing him in the playoffs because he couldn't shoot free throws. And then Bam, they drafted Bam, and then he just got insanely better than Hassan.
Uh-huh.
And now, getting Butler was pretty big. I didn't expect that move at all, to be
Me neither.
honest. I
Mhm.
thought he was going to go. I wanted him to go back in Philly. I thought he fit really well with the culture there. But,
We know how that turned out.
we know how that turned out. Speaking of big free agencies, Kemba and the Celtics. Kemba did not play, but the Celtics got their revenge against the Kings, beating them 103-102. Buddy Hield had 41 points. Buddy Hield's one of my favorite players in the game. Zach, my question is to you: does the Celtics have the best depth in the NBA? Without their star player, they still managed to win. Of course, it was a close game.
It was very close.
But do you think that their rosters, compared to the Heat and the Pacers, match up very well, or do you think that when you get Hayward and Kemba back, you guys are in that conversation?
Honestly, I love what you said right there. We have to wait in order to say that, because right now, looking at these stats for these Heat players, it's showing that they got some depth.
Their team.
They are team ball. They're team oriented.
It's fine. I think the Pacers and Heat are the definition of team ball.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, with Kyrie or not Kyrie. God, I can't believe I said that. Oh, I hate myself for that. But Kemba being out, injuring himself on his own teammate wasn't anybody's fault.
No, it's a
But
basketball.
for us winning without him, without our main team player,
Your leader, too, as well.
exactly,
He's a
it
definitely-
helps significantly boost morale. I just want to know, what can we do to stop Buddy Hield? Because every time we have played him, he has dropped at least an average of
35.
mid-30s.
Yeah. And I just think that, the Kings with De'Aaron Fox, their coaches realizing that either Bogdanovich or Bogdanovich, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Mhm.
I apologize, but and Buddy Hield got to step up, and the
He's been doing
Celtics just didn't really stop them. And of course, there's shooters, and then there's heat check shots, and then there's he's just gonna throw anything up. And if you saw late in that game, he was just throwing anything up, and it was going in. Of course, he missed the game-winning shot, but for the Kings not even being in the playoff, they're 7-9 right now. They're playing extremely well basketball lately, but they're still not
There's a chance.
they're still not mid-pack of the West, but they are playing exceptional basketball. And Buddy Hield, decided to be in the realm of that, And I think we do have to wait for the Celtics to get their whole team back to compare them to the Pacers and Heat.
I mean,
I
they're
feel-
still not doing bad, but you do need those pieces to make your team a little bit more.
Yeah.
Kemba is
Everybody
rumored.
needs an all-star.
Kemba is rumored to come back this Wednesday,
Yep.
which definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
But
Gordon Hayward's still got a while.
Gordon Hayward still has to allow.
Sadly, he still got a while as he started picking.
I
things
feel
up.
like once we get Gordon Hayward back, I'm not sure when that is. We'll look like what we did in the beginning of the season.
You got
We'll go on this
first
hot
11-2.
going on this hot start and keep on rolling, hopefully. So, I mean, coming to the bet depth, coming to our thing, or our question, I would definitely say they're one of them, but not the best.
Got it. All right. So Timberwolves beat the Hawks 125-113. My question is, would you rather have Karl Anthony Towns or Trae Young at this point in their careers?
It depends on what kind of piece
You have this is
I think if you're starting with
expansion draft, and they're not protected for any reason why.
so
And you have the first pick in the expansion draft. Are you taking Towns, who's averaging 26, that should be 12 rebounds and 4 assists? I'm just going to round up. 26 points for Trae Young, 4.5 rebounds and 8 assists for Young. And,
me personally,
uh-huh.
because I do think so highly of Karl Anthony Towns, that I would go with him over Trae Young, solely because he's obviously been in the league a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no guessing. You know what you're gonna get.
Yep.
You're gonna get mid-20s, double-digit rebounds, low assists on decent shooting,
Yeah.
on a good shooting percentage. But with Trae Young, the aspect of having a guard be the center of your team, to me personally, isn't the way to go. I mean, more of the time than not, you see it coming from a 2 guard where your guard is running the team, or a forward, to follow that Greg Popovich type of scheme where your big man is the center of your team and you build around that, where you can have a prolific post scorer in Karl Anthony Towns and then put guards that know their way around a court, that are floor general guards. But Trae Young in that conversation, no disrespect to him, he's a great basketball player, he's good all around. Not quite as good as Luka Doncic. Just saying.
Yeah.
But to
Draft mistakes happen.
be asked that
Mixed
question,
in there, done that.
to be asked that question, I think personally for me, I go Towns.
Quick question:
Yeah.
has Towns actually been out of games due to injury?
That was going to be my statement. That's why I was going to pick Towns over Young, because Young has been hurt. I don't think Towns
Consistency.
I
He hasn't
think
missed
Towns
a
has really
stretch of
been
games.
out. Towns also is an all-star, technically. Trae Young's on his way to be an all-star. And I like smash mouth basketball. Karl Anthony Towns is the best on defense, but neither is Trae Young. Of course, he gets a couple steals, but Towns also gets a couple blocks.
Yeah.
So hand in hand, they're both very, on the stat sheet, they're both very equally players. One's better at rebounding, one's better at passing the ball, which makes sense. But if you're looking at the standings behind us, the T-Wolves are in it and the Hawks aren't. So I'm picking Towns.
I've always liked, you just want to see beautiful basketball play when you watch, And watching Trae Young, he can dish it out.
Mm-hmm.
He's got moves. He's got a shot. And he does have a team behind him. He does.
They're just young.
Yeah. But I personally always liked, the big men. Just because you like to see that gritty, just
Back you down,
attitude.
put you on a poster.
Poster
Who's your favorite
dunks.
player? So you're used to seeing that every morning when you go on YouTube highlights,
Yeah.
It's just like something you've accustomed to, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, when I watch basketball, that's what I think of.
So-
When I thought, when I started liking those, the big men in the league, was when LeBron was completely jumping over people and just completely
Not necessarily a big
smashing.
man, but yeah.
Well, do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna dunk it in your face.
Yeah, big men that
Making
could back
paint.
you down.
Mhm.
Got a little, a nice post hook, and I think I'd pick Towns on
Okay.
that one.
Everyone good there? No one. No last remarks in between Young and Towns.
Zach, did you make your pick?
I didn't get the pick yet.
Oh,
But
sorry, I forgot.
no problem. Definitely Karl Anthony Towns. I want you guys to correct me if I sound stupid real
It's
quick.
fine. Just say it, man.
Somebody, as a point guard, in my opinion, can easily be locked down a bit easier.
Okay.
I want to say, kind of this as an example, person that I never heard of specifically
If you want.
was Fred
Fred Van Vliet.
Thank
your
you.
Best friend.
coming off the bench
Uh-huh.
and
No
locking
problems.
one of the greatest point guards that we have
Ever.
seen.
Just say ever.
All right, well, I'll agree. I'll say ever.
The magical one. Just Magic Johnson.
Locking him up. Steph Curry getting locked up.
So, on the defensive end, it's all a matter of knowing the moves that are coming at you. I feel like Van Vliet definitely did a great job on defense against Curry.
I think he should have won finals.
Played his role. But if you look at dominant defensive players, you see a lot of big men. Past 2 years,
Rudy Gobert.
deep boy, big man. So, yeah, a lot of those blocks and stuff like that, you could say, oh, it was guards coming in. But big men are prolifically defenders more of the time than not, and that's what you look for. And that's kind of why I mentioned Towns.
That's what I was going. That was my pick, Karl Anthony Towns.
So,
You're just your argument's a little bit kind
Yeah, it's a little bit weird,
yeah.
but I kind
Well,
of
I could see you
I didn't get the
justifying around it.
finish.
well, because if I understand what you're saying, if you're
Yeah.
a big man, he can still grab rebounds like we saw with Embiid. Those 13 rebounds that he had helped the team, although his points did not. So you could still get scoring.
And
out of
yeah,
that.
with being a big man, knowing what a big man's gonna do is either they're gonna try and back you down, they're gonna try and do a post, or they're gonna pass it out. Where a point guard is just like defensively, that there's so many different options. As long as you can lock down just their shooting, they have to pass it. If you could lock down a big man and take their rebounds away from them, steal the ball away from them, and block them, is just a little bit more important than I think passing the ball just a little bit better. Because
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns shows that he can. Not the greatest, but definitely for a big man, I think that's pretty good.
But so my thing is
So we're universal Towns, by the
yeah,
way.
universal Towns. That yeah sums it up. We all want Towns. And speaking of a big man here, the Bucks fight back against the Jazz, winning 122-118. Giannis had 50 points.
This was definitely a
16
statement.
boards.
Yep.
And I just think that he's running away with the MVP a little bit because now they're first seed in the East, 14-3, and without their second All-Star and Chris Middleton. Of course, that team around him is pretty deep. You got Wesley Matthews, Eric Bledsoe, George Hill. I can go on and on. You know, I've said this before, and I think that the Jazz are a really good team. We've said this in our predictions for seeds and stuff. We've had the Jazz like third. But
So-
Giannis scoring 50, right? Not shooting that many threes. Of course, he is now shooting a little bit threes, majority two-pointers, just proves that he is hard to guard, and he's almost there at his final form.
So the only real takeaway I have from this game, I expected the Bucks to win,
Yeah.
but this is a statement game for both teams. The Jazz showed that they can hang with a number one seed in the East,
Mm-hmm.
and that's huge. For the Jazz being in a competitive West where, like I've said before, I think the first and the sixth are going to be a few games apart. But
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, we can tell that just by now. Even in the
Mhm.
East.
for the Jazz to be able to hang into that game and lose by 4 points
Mm-hmm.
when one of the best scorers that the game has right now had one of his best performances with 50 points
Mm-hmm.
is crazy.
No turnovers either.
Yeah, 50 points on no turnovers is almost unheard
That's
of.
like third person in NBA history with that stat.
So
My thing is, are you sorry?
I was
didn't mean to cut you off.
gonna wrap up that when you look at the Bucks, you know it's Giannis, but you can't stop it. When you look at the Jazz, they have a lot of options, just like we
Mhm.
talked about with the Pacers, like we talked about with the Heat, like we talked about with the Celtics. The Jazz are one of those teams where they do have a lot of options and they can kind of come at you from everywhere. So I like that matchup, like from a entertainment standpoint, because it was an exciting game. But Giannis having 50 points right there shows that he's closing in on that final form. If like you spoke on, if he could polish up free throws
Yes.
and polish
Oh,
up
big time.
3-point shooting,
That's
he
the one
could be
thing.
very, very good. His free throws, that's inexcusable.
Mhm.
There's no reason why a guy that gets fouled as often as he does and as aggressive as he is should be missing that many free throws, especially with how dedicated he is to the game.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if you listen to people on, like, Woj podcast and those shooting coaches and all that, they normally say shooting's the last thing the kid works on because if you see the NBA players and their story of being hitting growth spurts, if you're 5'2", it's gonna be different than when you're 6'8". You know, like your arms are lengthier, your hands are bigger. Kawhi has a hard time shooting half the time because his hand just sticks to the damn ball. You know, we've seen it in even the finals. He shoots so weird because his hand's sticking to the ball. It feels like he's pushing it out of his hands, and you know, it's Giannis is backing that statement up to where that's his last thing he's working on because he's got the paint game and defense and rebounding and passing pretty much.
All the
ideal
facets
at
of his
that
game
point.
are unlocked. He's just the finesse is lacking.
Yeah.
Passive shooting.
Go ahead, Zach.
Definitely unexpected from Giannis, but close to expected.
Okay.
You knew that he was going to go off that extent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My thing is, this is how his probably mid-season form is going to be, but yet it started so early that it's just going to show complete dominance, which it obviously is. This is how he should be playing, but not as many points. He should be getting these rebounds. He always gets rebounds. Another thing is, this just shows that they don't... Who was it? Middleton, right? So I didn't want to mess up any
No,
names.
it's fine. You're good. You're good.
It just shows that he could sit down and relax and get this injury.
Yeah, we talked about this last episode.
Yeah, I just want to
Take your
retouch
time.
on that, and just this is another
Because that's
way
how
that
important it
shows
is that you can take your time. I'm going to emphasize
Yeah.
more and more that you don't need to rush back.
he
Bucks,
has teammates.
They're number one by 2 games now. Wow, I almost just hit you. they're in first by 2 games now. They really don't. They relax, buddy. Giannis got this. Wesley Matthews, Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, Robin Lopez, Brook Lopez.
Everybody can step up.
And-
DJ Wilson's playing really well. I'm gonna stop.
Until the people
Sterling
teams
Brown
showed
back,
that they could stop Giannis, and you can't really stop him.
Slow him down.
Significantly.
Mhm.
Middleton is allowed to baby that injury and actually come back 100%
Yep.
to his former glory.
If we could continue on this,
Speaking of former glory,
if we could continue on the hanging on to the injury for a little bit, do you bring him back so Giannis doesn't need to keep doing this? Do you
I
let
think
Giannis
Giannis
kind of
does
take the
not
break
care.
a little bit?
I think Giannis does not care.
Honestly,
If you're the coach, I'm asking.
Oh,
I don't care about
Budenholzer?
Giannis's point.
But here's the thing: sit down with Giannis and talk to him. He's your star player.
He's not gonna listen.
He's
Giannis-
the biggest player.
But you're the coach. You need to understand that no player is going to say, hey, no. I need my break. They're going to say, no, I want to go better.
Yeah, but this is why
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't. You
correct.
take him away from his teammates. You have a one-on-one with him. This, if I'm a coach,
Yeah.
I would sit him
If you're
down.
Mike Budenholzer,
Tell me
Budenholzer.
everything. I want you to be honest. I don't think they're trading Giannis anytime soon. Giannis is definitely going to be there for.
he's gonna be the first.
if not for all of
$300
his.
million contract in the NBA.
Exactly, he's there for the
That's
long
my
time.
hot take.
I would sit him down and have him be one-on-one honest with me. Do you need a break? He's not. He's gonna say no, but you. That's the thing as like a coach. He's like, you need to at least sit down and give it a try. Just like Giannis, Middleton is one. Like he's 100%. He's ready. Or in your opinion, should we keep him one more game? Are you still feeling up to it? Do you still feel like you have all this energy?
And he's advocated for that before. Of course, he's been asked this question multiple times now, ever since Middleton got hurt. And he's just said, my guys around me are my guys. They bring the best in me, and they are great players. And he didn't say we don't need Middleton, but if you read between the lines, it's like,
In
hey,
essence.
buddy, Middleton, take your time, buddy. We
Yeah.
got this.
So
And
he
he's
said it
shown it
without
time and
saying
time
it.
again, yes.
Yeah, so there we go.
What would you think? What would you do?
I think it depends on what the Bucks are at in that point. If they're not up a 2-game lead
Mm-hmm.
above any other team in the East, I believe that
Which
know
they
if
are.
they're So like say right now, if Bledsoe was 100%,
Mm-hmm.
I would, again I would sit him down.
Middleton.
No,
not Bledsoe.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'd sit
why I did
Giannis
that.
down. I'd sit Giannis down.
Uh-huh.
Be like, listen, we have
So take the same approach.
this game on stretch. Yep. I'm gonna sit you.
Yeah, if they have like a 5
For a game.
road game
Are you talking about
stretch.
sitting Giannis?
Yes, I'm gonna sit you
You
for.
can't sit players unless like there's an actual injury.
Unless it was a home game, yeah. You can not play him 40 minutes or 30
Well, yeah.
minutes
Well,
a game.
give him.
You're playing
Yeah,
like
give
Cut
him
his
a
time.
rest.
So you're
Cut
going
his
to
time.
say, hey,
Cut
we're
his
going to push
time
on
out.
restricted
A
minutes.
little bit, yeah.
Now here's my question though.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. No, I was go ahead. Ask. We're just messing with you.
No, go.
Okay. I was gonna say, speaking of former glory, Trailblazers win, beating the Bulls 117-94.
Lakers, you should have taken a shot, man.
I
Pull
think
the
you should
trigger
take
on
it
Melo.
from here. Melo scoring 25 points, having 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 50% shooting. You go ahead and take it away.
This is what I said Melo needed to do. I said he needed to realize that he's not. If the ball's moving around, it's moving. The ball can't stop at Melo. Unless he's got an open shot or an open lane, ball can't stop at Melo. In a Trailblazers team that's struggling right now, They're not doing that great.
Significantly struggling.
Like underperforming.
Mhm.
Wow.
That's
But-
what it is.
They really need to realize. Well, he needs to realize that hey, if I want to help this team win, if I want to keep my longevity a thing, I need to not be a ball stop. I can't stop moving and I can't hold on to the ball. I
You
can't.
can't have the ball for 24 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, or even half of that. You can't be having a ball stop on that team. That's not how that team ran. That's never how it's been, unless it's Dame. But the way he played last night, on 50% shooting, that's typical. I don't
Not
know
bad,
if it's
not
typical Melo numbers, just because we've seen him have games where he hucks up shots in his prime, hucks up shots, or hucks up a bunch of buckets where he just can't miss, and it's an ocean over there. But, 25 points, 8 rebounds, that's good numbers. That's what you need in a team. That's a piece that not saying that this is a championship team, but I'm saying that's a piece that a championship would have needed. So, to get that production, hopefully close to a nightly basis, not maybe 25 or 8, but like close to it. That's what they need, and I think Melo's realizing that that's his role in the league, and that's what he needs to do to help the team win.
It is against the Bulls, though. Not really
He was a Bull
staple.
for like 10 days, so
Well, no, but it's like, yeah, stupid.
it's a revenge
But-
game.
Against the Bulls,
Or was
not the greatest team to go against. Do
A
you
young,
think
fast team.
if he
nonetheless.
could face, let's say, the Lakers, a
Anyone
top
that's
3
top
team?
6 in any conference.
Oh, Lakers are punching him back, but that's just the
Exactly.
thing.
That's my point. Is like, could he still do those numbers against an actual good,
We just have to
actual
wait and
good
see
team?
because shooting 50% is pretty efficient on my part, especially if you've been out of the game for a year.
Regardless
That's my
of who-
thing. Just
regardless
don't
of who you're
praise
playing.
him just yet.
Yes.
Let it
If he could, like I
mellow
said,
over.
if he could continue
No.
this style
There
of
you go.
play,
Now
he'll be in
we're-
a good spot.
All right, speaking of the Lakers beat the Spurs 114-104. LeBron scored 33 points, had 4 assists. KCP scored 14 points, shooting 71% from the field. Laker fan, take it away.
Role players, man. This is the biggest thing in the NBA at this point is
KCP. It's showtime.
I mean, KCP 71% shooting. That's good. We don't want him taking a lot of shots. So when he misses, hopefully it's rare and few and far between. But having LeBron score 33 is not going to be seen on a nightly basis, but it's needed every now and then to remind people that LeBron is not washed up.
He's playing like a king.
LeBron is showing people why he thinks that he deserves to be atop of the mountain when people talk about NBA and talk about basketball and basketball history.
For sure.
I'm not saying that he is, but I'm just saying he's trying to really prove that. And if he could do something this season and make something out of it, like he has been, especially with a great big man, we see how he plays with great big men, the Kevin Love, the Chris Bosh,
And
but-
Davis.
now Davis. This Warriors team is scary, and I'm not just saying that as a fan. I'm saying that as a guy who loves to see basketball and a guy who loves the NBA. This is a scary team. The way that they run, the people that they have around the main all-star pieces, the defined, prolific scoring from LeBron and Davis. We have phenomenal
Real
movement.
quick, you said Warriors team.
Warriors.
So I just want to make sure you're talking about the Lakers.
I'm gonna say Warriors.
You said this is a
Warriors.
Warriors team.
You said that.
You probably said a worried team. I don't understand.
I don't remember.
You probably
Yeah.
just slipped
So
it in by
let's just-
mistake.
This is a team that I'm afraid of.
No, you just said like
You probably
are
meant
the
to say-
Warriors team. Like they're Warriors or like the Warriors.
This team is full of fucking savages.
Okay.
Oh, Mike Scott!
No.
It's classy Santa took a dip on that one, but we're all right.
All right, so we're just gonna.
I'm gonna have
Speaking
to
of
watch this.
Warriors,
Wait. Pretty sure. I didn't look it up just yet,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty sure if KCP could score at least 1 point, the Lakers are undefeated.
All right,
Whenever Alex Caruso plays, we don't lose. So.
6-0. All right,
Bald Mamba.
Thunder beat the Warriors 100-97. This is expected now, but are the Warriors playing chess? Meaning that are they playing bad to get a lottery pick like James
They're definitely
Wiseman?
playing in the long
And then
term.
next year they're like, "Hey, we're back. Hi,
Curry, Clay, Dre,
I think
Wise.
that
Hi,
that's.
Kevin."
I think that's what they're
Hi,
doing, just because they don't have their pieces anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Clay's hurt. Curry's
So what
hurt.
can you really do?
I mean,
know.
Exactly.
I'm not saying they're purposely doing that because Eric Parcell is their best player, their best player.
Who is a surprise?
Who, yes, I'm not saying he's bad at basketball, but Eric Parcell, an undrafted rookie, is your best player.
Ouch.
Question mark.
but no, this is smart on their part. I think like more like this is like kind of testing the waters with Russell, see how he's gonna do. He's doing good pretty far other than injuries,
Yeah.
which sucks. But
they're
it's
probably
definitely
good.
a smart move to get less, so like lose not on purpose,
Yeah.
not on purpose,
You just try not to, and then it happens. It happens.
which helps later because you'll have the off season. You have people get healthy again. You have Clay coming back, so I think it's just smart on their end.
I think that I don't know. I just think the Warriors are not worried at all. Really, you're just it is what it is at this point.
This season doesn't hurt, and the record doesn't hurt for this year. So
All right. So now we're gonna change gears, and now we're gonna get into our football talk. And Nick's gonna take us over what happened last night. Nick.
Ravens completely obliterated the Rams, 45-6.
Okay.
I might have to change my MVP,
To who?
Lamar Jackson.
Raise your hand if you have Lamar Jackson as your MVP. I'm gonna go half because I had Deshaun Watson before Lamar went on this 3-week run.
I thought it could be Christian McCaffrey and be a little different, but now my hand is up. It's
What about you?
Throwing
I fought for Christian McCaffrey. I'm telling you, if you watch the episodes, I fought for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
But Lamar is such a freak,
You
man.
can't now. It's kind of he's running away with it literally.
throwing 5 touchdowns, 169 yards,
Nice.
95 rushing yards.
Nice.
Is he a quarterback? Is he a
This
running
Guys,
guy's
he's a
this
quarterback.
guy's
He's a
passing
quarterback.
game has been crazy. 5 passing touchdowns.
And he's got
5
a
in one
very
game
good
is
pass.
insane.
And Mark Ingram
He's-
also scored a
And he's
little.
got
Mark-
a great
Mark
passing
Ingram
rating
cares.
too.
Mark
Lamar Jackson, talk of the century.
Can
Yeah,
someone
but-
say Ravens real quick?
Yeah, I think
Ravens.
that
Lamar Jackson.
I think I
That defense
like I
is pretty good,
said
too,
I
so.
need to change my MVP. He's going absolutely freaking crazy.
And this defense, me and Zach spoke about this before this episode started. They have a lot of fast guys back there. They get to the quarterback and they put pressure. I don't know the exact amount, but Jared Goff was under distress. He was scared. He did not look comfortable.
He's also
really
the
at
best quarterback.
really at any point in that game. But regardless of who's standing back there, that line they get back there. Judon he is showing that he gets to where he
You
wants to
also
be.
look at the skills positions they have on the other side of the ball, not counting the corners and safeties that they have. You have Miles Boykin, Brown, Mark Ingram, Robert Griffin III is sometimes
Andrews.
out there, Andrews, and they have another tight end. I don't know his name. If I apologize.
Don't they,
But-
Hollywood?
Yeah, that's
Iowa
Brown.
Brown.
So,
Good.
I think that Lamar is good, but I haven't heard someone say, "Well, look at his offense." Which, if they don't produce, it could be an excuse coming down later in the season, like playoff time. But I am not worried about him one bit in the regular season. Now, he's played in the playoffs last year. He already knows what it's like, so he has experience.
Yeah.
So right now, I think that they are just going to ride with it until it breaks.
I think this is a well-coached team, so their game plan is probably going to switch up come playoff time. I think you might see a little bit less of the read option and more of design quarterback runs,
Yeah.
and to the point where you put either a speed back behind him, so Mark Ingram following where there's a pitch option instead of a handoff option. A lot of RPOs because he is getting better and smarter with the passing. But Harbaugh is a great coach. We've spoken about this before. And he said, you know what, Lamar, this is your team. And that's the scariest thing in the NFL right now is that Lamar Jackson has his own team. And it's not, okay, Mark Ingram's here. We're going to share that spotlight. Hollywood Brown, we're going to share that spotlight. The defense is going to have a spotlight. No, it's Lamar Jackson's team.
Lamar's
and it
show.
is defined.
Mark
That it's
Ingram's
just-
advocated for him week after and week in, and
What I'm
he's
s-
singing.
So what's up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm scared too is that, Lamar Jackson is doing his thing right now. He's completely tearing up the game. He's doing what he needs to do, and he's doing it
He's doing what he was doing at
It's
Louisville.
on his
exceptionally
agenda.
well.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm just scared for him
He's-
because you know how running
Can't
backs.
win exactly.
I don't want him to be like that. I don't want a wonderful, great, talented young
RG3.
quarterback
RG3
to
can't win.
completely, get injured to where he's not the same person. And I don't want to see that.
Agreed. But
He's reinvented the game better than Mike Vick.
he's doing
I
a
think
similar
that-
thing to Mike Vick.
I
Yeah.
think
I
if there
think
was
better.
social media as big as Mike Vick was and he didn't go to prison, I think
Hey,
he
Vic did
probably.
his time.
And then I think that if social media was big back then, we'd be saying the same stuff about Mike Vick as we are Lamar.
I
But
think if
Lamar
he-
is doing it at a bigger scale.
I think
Better
if he does
scale.
this for the next couple of seasons, 2-3 seasons, he's gonna be topping Mike Vick, and
Well, he's already breaking
gonna
some
be-
of
he's
his
on-
records.
he's
He's
gonna
not
be
pace,
Lamar Jackson. It's not gonna be like, oh, he's like Mike Vick. No,
I do want to see.
Mike Vick is like Lamar Jackson.
I do
Well,
want
no,
to see
but yeah.
more of this. Three Heisman backfield.
Heisman option.
That'd be
Yeah, the
kind of
Heisman
fun to
option
watch.
play is
But
nice.
It's a
their
fun backfield
offense,
to run
in my
against.
opinion, just needs to run. Teams aren't really watching for this read option. This hasn't been that big of a thing until
A big thing when people say that, and whenever a big defender, like especially in the AFC, gets asked a question like, "Are you ready for Lamar Jackson?" All their answers go, "We can't emulate in that in practice. You can't have
Unless you put a receiver at quarterback.
or running back, but they're not going to throw the ball with the accuracy that he's been showing.
You don't get
No,
those
no,
reps.
No, but that I'm saying is
He's
like
not as fast as Lamar, and I know you're joking.
I know.
But I'm just saying, you can't, teams literally can watch film and kind of run against the read option, but it's not going up against Lamar.
There have literally
I'm
been,
saying
Yeah.
run the read option until that fails them.
Oh, okay.
Not saying stop the read option. I'm saying they need to continue the read option until it shows their teams are finding ways to stop it. Because right now you got Ingram and then you got Lamar that both could easily outrun, and Lamar can easily outrun. Ingram could easily find his way through blockers, truck his way down the field. Then you do the fake read option, rolling out, and then you could throw it.
Yeah.
You could do trick plays like that. I feel like just this read option with Lamar Jackson is deadly.
to the point where they're not even trick plays. It's part of the regular playbook, where they come in and it's like you
For
can run,
them, yeah.
you can run 5-6 different variations of a read option where you have another 5 on top of that end up with Lamar dropping back to be able to pass. But this team, the way that they've, like I said, built around him, it's a scary thing to see. And when they start really chugging towards playoffs, I wait on this team to make a little bit of a change and see what happens, because I think Harbaugh, like I said, just gonna pound it and hit the ground running.
I can see that.
What I think too is that I think defenses are taking it, a little bit too, I don't know how to say it, but defenses are getting themselves in a they're shook,
Oh, okay.
so they don't
How so?
they're not playing their defense correctly.
He's just saying that defenses are adjusting to Lamar instead of playing the normal defense.
Yeah.
So say, for example, the 49ers, they're good on man and zone coverage because their corners or safeties are exceptionally well. He's saying that they're going to play,
They're gonna do,
Ravens
a little
are
bit
gonna
of
do
a
more
contain.
blitz because they're expected to run.
Oh yeah, but that's definitely what you got to do. You got somebody that's a game changer out there.
You got to
That-
change your game plan.
You got to change that game plan. You got to adapt to what you are watching, what you are seeing. I understand now what you're saying is oh, they're worried about Lamar Jackson too much. You got to be.
Yeah.
This kid is out here 5 touchdowns in one game. But yet almost 100 rushing yards. He's finding his way around. He's you have to adapt to him. If you don't, it's just
So we
they're not gonna work.
expect the Ravens, the Pats, the 49ers, and the Saints, those teams to make the Super Bowl.
or make a push.
Or make a push to the AFC Championship, NFC Championship game. Who is a dark horse candidate right now that's either in the hunt or a lower seed in the AFC or NFC to win the Super Bowl? I have mine picked. It's the Texans, not because Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller and DeAndre Wells have been on my fantasy team this year. A little biased, but I just think that if they were going to make a push, it'd be this year. And if not, their coach is going to get fired, Bill O'Brien. But that's just my opinion. It's either them or the Raiders. I think the Raiders could make the playoffs this year. They just have to win more games. They have to come down to, you can't have teams lose games in order for you to make the playoffs. But I have the Texans as my Super Bowl dark horse.
I'm gonna go a little bit different here. I'm gonna go with the Colts. If they can make it out of that AFC, then they're really gonna be a solidified team in my opinion, just because there is so much strength that we've talked about. The Patriots, the Ravens, and getting through that in a playoff situation would be a insane feat to accomplish. And if they could find their way into a rhythm against any of these teams, it's a scary sight, because when that offense is moving the way that the coaches and that scheme fits, then they can really steamroll most defenses. That was their offensive line is one of the most dominant offensive lines in the game. So matched up against a good pass rush, you're not really going to see much happening. So my pick for this is the Colts. I think if they can make any type of push here late, we can really see something happen.
I think the AFC. I have two.
Mm-hmm.
So the AFC right now, even though my Pats are on top right now, and obviously the Ravens are very, very, they're pushing as much as they can forward right now. The Bills have been playing exceptionally throughout the season, and I'd like to see them, as much as it hurts me just because they're in the AFC and whatever, but I think they could do it for the NFC, I've talked about this before. I love the Seahawks. I love Russell Wilson, and
Who's your one that's gonna win it though?
if
it's Bills and Seahawks,
NFC,
the Seahawks
I
are
think-
gonna win. But
I think the Seahawks, if they make it up there, go to the Super Bowl, I think they'll win.
okay. Zach, who's your dark horse? One team. You can pick two if you want, but it's gotta be one overall at the end of the
No, yeah, I got two I want to talk about, but definitely I got one in mind.
Yep.
I don't know. I think Chiefs, you can't count them out.
Okay.
I know where you're going. Their defense isn't the greatest.
I wasn't going with that. I was just
Oh.
going with their playoff history, but
Yeah, all right. Their defense is lackluster, but they have been proven themselves otherwise. You got the high-powered offense. If Tyreek Hill can stay healthy, if Mahomes can kind of recuperate from his starting glory, they do have a definite shot of making it into the playoffs. I think they got at least past the first, maybe the second round max. I don't think they're going to make it. I got the Texans, though. I feel like they have the higher chance of actually being able to make it all the way. They got Fuller, Hopkins, and Deshaun Watson. Crazy athletes, completely different. Their defense could be a little bit better, but it definitely isn't that bad. So if I had to pick, I would definitely go the Texans.
okay.
So, moving on, keeping it on the topic of football. What coach do you guys think is on the hot seat right now? What coach do you think is underperforming, or what coach do you think has talent and just isn't working right with it?
All right. So rule is, not Sean McVay. Okay, that's it. I'm not going with Super Bowl like last year. If your team made the playoffs, I don't think he should be in this conversation. That's just my opinion. Unless if you're disagreeing.
Bill Belichick is garbage.
You guys can go ahead.
What's the Bengals coach's name? It doesn't. No.
Marvin Lewis.
It doesn't. I don't care about that actually because they suck.
So is
That-
that your hot seat coach or not?
Hot seat coach. They need something different. They need a freaking defense. They need a new quarterback.
But that's
they need-
not really coach.
Okay, but the thing is that they're not coaching these players right to where they can become, one of the better teams in the league.
Andy Dalton did get hurt.
Yeah.
So that hurts. AJ Green
Did get
got
hurt.
hurt. But I mean, they
It's
had-
not Marvin Lewis.
What happened?
Zach Taylor.
When
What
did that
out
happen?
last year? I knew it wasn't Marvin Lewis.
Well, I'm an idiot.
It's
That
all
hurts.
good. It's still
So it's a
relevant.
first-year coach. You think he's still going?
He's getting fired for sure.
If they go 10-0, I mean,
0-10.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They go
10-0.
10-0.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Super Bowl contenders, baby.
No, definitely Garrett, in my opinion.
But Jerry Jones just came out and said that there's not really any concern there.
But let's take a seat and
Not talking about Jerry Jones.
not talk about Jerry Jones. Let's say you were Jerry Jones. You would have to get rid of him, in my opinion. Give another coach a shot. You got so many different options. You got Dak Prescott that he could show his money's worth. He could show how good he really is. He could show that he could pass. He could run a little bit. But when he has off games, he has off games. Everybody does. You got Ezekiel Elliott. Again, off games, no off games. But for him, it's mostly they rely on him too much.
Yeah, for sure.
Their defense isn't really that bad. You look up against the Patriots on a rainy day. Both teams are really bad, but you still had the Patriots getting shut down as well. It's just you got so many different types of keys to where you should be
This hurts.
winning.
Sorry.
So I just feel like if I was in Jerry Jones' seats, I would definitely try and find a coach.
Okay.
To you?
I'll get
You
one,
got
yeah.
it.
Dan Quinn of the Falcons. Again, I advocate defense a lot when we talk about sports. Anyone can throw a ball. Anyone can catch it and run it for 500 yards. Not anyone can stop it. And I think Dan Quinn, you have the offense, which is like a 7-second or less offense. I feel like it's a fly type offense, But at the end of the day, Dan Quinn, your time is up, buddy. I'm sorry to say. You went to a Super Bowl, you lost. Boo-hoo, get over it. You're getting fired.
Not only did you lose, you lost the whole lead, and you got the biggest comeback. on
Where's
top
the
of you.
lead, ma'am? All right, go ahead.
Jets head coach, Gase, correct?
Yes.
I think that guy's on the hot seat. Just had to make sure I got the name right. I got to make sure.
Who
I
was
got
that
it.
again?
Adam Gase. He was the Dolphins head coach last
Adam
year,
Gase.
and the Jets decided to hire him.
I don't see why that's a hire, number one. I guess because you're in the same conference in the same division, you get an edge up on another guy. But that doesn't help Jack Diddley squat when your team isn't that great.
Kablamo, Dunzo, Bamo, Gano.
There's a decent amount of good young pieces on that team. And for them to not be able to really produce much outside of beating the Cowboys is kind of There's nothing really good going on there for that team. I think, although he's a first year, he's still in a hot seat just because he can't produce anything and nothing's really happening, nothing's doing, and the Meadowlands for them. But, I mean, where the Bills are striving and doing better, the Jets and the Dolphins are doing absolutely nothing. And sadly, this is the most competitive the AFC East has been in a long time for Brady and Belichick out there. Not saying that they're in any type of threat.
The Bills are playing really well.
But I mean, for me, I think if I'm running the league and I say one coach has got to kind of be checked out and looked at, other than the Cowboys coach, I'm gonna go with the Jets coach.
All right, so we have one more topic before we are approaching our first half of the hour. Do you think that we can? All right, so
Quick hot fire. What quarterback do you guys think is coming first out of college?
We can do that. First quarterback, like if you had made a mock draft, who's your first score?
Yeah. Tua's hurt right now.
Burrow, just because Tua got hurt. If Tua was smart, he would play another year, let that recover, let that heal, and then after that year, enter the draft.
Yep.
You're going with me?
Agreeing with Burrow?
Yes, all right.
I think that aside from Burrow's incredible completion percentage numbers, Fromm is performing very well with, in my opinion, less real options, less of big threats. But that completion percentage is just almost unheard of. About to beat a NCAA record if he stays on pace or can improve. I don't see really any way that his on-the-field actions deter you from taking him with the number one pick if you need a quarterback.
I think it's Burrow, backpacking what he said. And we're going to take a little break here. We'll be right back. We have one more topic left to get into, and then we will get into our predictions for the rest of the week.
And we got a fun fact for you, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. We just got our break from the hour. Nick has some special announcement that he would like to make.
All right, so fun fact, we are trying to start, our merch, so that'll be out soon, just so you guys know. Link will probably be in the description, so we're trying to figure it out.
So to continue off of Tua and Joe Burrow, and our first projected quarterback should be drafted, College Football Playoff has OSU, LSU, Clemson and Georgia. Bama at 5. I have no complaints. I would switch LSU to OSU. Any of you guys?
I agree with that. I think LSU deserves that one spot.
Yep.
OSU has played good teams and has proven themselves, but LSU beat Bama, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Any team knows that. I'm still going to advocate that if Bama can win this next game, that they deserve that 4th spot. But you never know. I mean, they did lose. That's on them. And without Tua, it's a lot less entertaining team. But you can make a case to go either way, 4 or 5 seed.
I definitely feel if we can beat Auburn by a significant amount, like a good number, like 20 points, 30 points, whatever Bama could actually do, what Bama thinks does, definitely would help our case.
Yep. And Saban throwing a little bit of shade out there at LSU, saying that Auburn is the best team that they're going to face this year.
Oh.
I like that. It's out there. It's tough. Real Roll Tide pride.
I always like the little snide remarks that football can do. A little trash talk.
You're all Clemson fans, so.
Like you said, I think LSU should be in that number 1 spot. You always have upsets. That's what college football is.
It really is. It's a game of heart. You see a lot of upsets happen.
So let's just see how it goes, and
all right.
goes and
All right,
goes
guys.
and goes.
So that's it. As of right now, we do have a Thanksgiving special episode, whatever, coming out. And other than that, you guys have any notes or cliff notes you guys want to say?
Just quick thing I want to pop in there. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I said this in the last video.
We are close.
We're getting there to his Gatorade bath. We're putting
close.
We're putting out new merchandise, so if you guys want to check that out, like you said, we're going to put that link in the description. We're going to get you guys as much content and as much positive energy from us as we can. And everything that we can get going out there. Entertainment for the people. We are for the people. Sports first, everything second podcast. Anything for you guys.
Currently at 79, so let's get that up there quick.
Yep, and again, thanks for the support, and let's try to get those subs up.
We actually made an Instagram, so go check that out. Give that a follow.
All right.
To the
Link in the
IG.
description.
Way to catch.
And with Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.
Nobody on
We
Facebook.
did make an
But
Instagram and we are making merch,
On
so we are
Instagram.
growing positive. Hopefully we can get to 100 soon.
Active
because
on
I
all
want
platforms.
to
Mom and
date
Dad,
and Gatorade.
Subscribe.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.